everybody, we're back. So we really loved all your positive reactions and thank you so much. And a special shout out for Janelle because she was uploading all this content and making it look really good. How are you, Janelle?
Oh, thank you, Nicolene. I'm so happy to be back here with you
Yeah, good.
about
So am
another
I.
important topic.
Absolutely. Because I'd love to pick up where we left last week. You know, when we are supporting someone living with dementia, words don't matter as much as how you make someone feel. So sometimes the most powerful thing we can say is, I'm sorry. So last week I shared this moment with you when I engaged with a person living with dementia, and I said something that that person didn't want to hear, and I filled in the words.
Yeah.
So she became upset and said with an angry tone to me, "No, I don't mean that." So I paused and responded, "I'm sorry." And it seems like what I said wasn't really helpful.
Mm.
So that moment, that has actually taught me something important. So the most powerful way to engage with someone is to recognize for yourself that I made a mistake and acknowledge that one. So yeah, taking that step back, adjusting my approach again, and change the direction of my interaction with this beautiful person. And I owed her an apology. And even though I didn't mean to say the wrong thing, but you know, Janelle, here's the thing. Her perception is her reality. So she couldn't see my point of view. And in that moment, I had to meet where she was.
That's
So,
part of the communication, Nicolene. The
yeah,
other
it
person's
is part.
perception. Yes.
Yes. So I was thinking, what if I hadn't said sorry? Because, you know, maybe I was raised to believe that saying sorry when you're not at fault is unnecessary. Or perhaps I've just learned to stand up for myself and not apologize so easily. But you know, in dementia care, that approach can cost us something really valuable:
Yeah,
connection.
the connection.
So if I choose not to say sorry, the person living with dementia might choose not to be with me, not to engage with me, and then you lose that moment of connection. So, Janelle, I was curious, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, like, have you ever been in a situation where an apology made all the difference, even though you didn't mean to say the wrong thing?
Yeah. I've been thinking about this and looking at the card that you also showed to us last week, different ways to say sorry.
Yeah.
And you mentioned one example that you verbally expressed something and the person perceived or understood differently. But I have a different situation here.
I'm
One
curious.
that is like, because it's not just about being blamed for something. When you say sorry, it's also a moment, as you mentioned, to pause and reconnect, reflect, change, and reconnect.
Yeah.
And in my example here is more, I think if I would have to choose, it would be more related to the experience, because that is the person's experience, what
That's
is
right.
happening to her. So in this case, we can say sorry to really validate the feelings, the emotions,
Yeah.
and also to build that bridge so we can connect, we can start the relationship. I have one example. There was one lady in a care home that I used to work.
Yep.
She would always cry and yell, not always, but from time to time she would cry and yell at other residents
Oh, right.
because she thought they are all unwanted visitors. They are visitors stealing her food.
Oh,
Imagine, like, I bet it was very distressing for her because
oh,
then
absolutely.
you have like, I don't know, 20 people in your home, and then you have to pay all for the grocery shopping, all the food for 20 people.
Yeah, imagine. I mean, like even if that would happen to us, like as in with all these people in, like all of a sudden, oh my God, what do I need to pay for
Yeah,
all these
yes,
people?
yes. I think it would be very expensive. I'm not sure if I'll be able to afford. I'm not sure about her previous history. Maybe she struggled with
Yeah,
money-wise.
yeah.
So
Maybe
at
she was born in the war time, or like there was no money.
no money,
Right.
food was scarce, and so I would use one type of apology. I would say like, "I'm sorry. This must be really hard for you."
Ah,
Because that situation, I bet it was hard for her. And there was no point for us to try to reason and explain. There are all other residents. She could not comprehend that. But
right.
every time I would say, I'm sorry, it must be really hard for you.
Yeah.
She would stop and look at me, and then would be like, breathe in and breathe out together. At that moment, she would start the connection with me.
Yeah.
And I would just let her explain the situation, complain about food. And I knew if we changed the environment, she would also benefit from that.
Ah,
So I would wait for her to really feel connected. And then I would ask her a favor to go, because from time to time I had to go somewhere else anyway. And then she would walk with me. So from that moment, just saying, I'm sorry, this
oh,
must be really hard for you. I was validating her feelings, her emotions, her distress.
it's a really beautiful thing to say as well, like as in this is hard for you. And that connection that you might build there might be the savior of that moment in time, or even for a longer period in time. I really like that. I really like us sharing stories that we have been through ourselves with our residents or people that you know of or living with dementia. I really like that. And I was wondering, like viewers, if you're watching this and you have a question, feel free to put it in the comments and maybe
Yes.
we'll get back to you about it. I mean, like that's always an option to talk about it.
I
I mean,
think that's a very good idea, Nicolene.
one chat at a time, Danielle. One
One
chat
chat
at a
at a
time.
time.
And I was thinking, thank you for sharing that, Danielle. I really love that. And I was thinking, for next week, you have something in mind that you want to talk about, right? Because you went to this beautiful, what was it? Like a sort of an online Zoom meeting?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yesterday. It
And you
was
were
very
inspired
interesting.
with something.
Ah, I was.
And you
And
told me, you said, next week I want to talk about this.
yes, please. So for next week, I have this other card here. It's about the difference between neglect, care,
Oh,
and abuse. So when we are
strong words,
providing care,
Danielle.
we can talk about this for next week
Let's
because
do it.
the goal is for us to deliver care.
Yeah.
And if I understand that we need to be client-centered, but we cannot confuse being client-centered and with just the communication of the person saying no all the time. Maybe we are not communicating well or maybe we are using just words or something else, and the person cannot really understand what our help. So then the person will be saying no, and then will be like, oh, client-centered, and there'll be neglect. So I'm looking forward to explain this further next week.
Yeah, I'll be there. So for now, I want to say goodbye, everyone. So if you have a question or you want to talk about something or you want us to talk about something, put it in the comments.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank you
very
so
much and see
much.
you next week.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
Janelle.
Bye.
Bye.